you clicked on this video, I assume that means you want to learn how to farm super credits so you don't have to spend real money on war bonds. Or maybe this just came on because, well, you fell asleep and this just popped up. Either way, I'm going to teach you how to effectively farm for super credits in Helldivers 2. One of the first things you want to look at is the planet biome for which you want to farm on. The best types of planet biomes are the ones that are more wide open. These include desert dunes, moon, icy glaciers, boneyard, plains, tundra, and ionic plains. My personal favorites are the moon and tundra biomes. The reason we want these wide open biomes is so we can see all the POIs really quickly and use our stratagems a bit more effectively, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, if we're to super crit farm as fast as possible, then we can just ignore all primary and secondary objectives. Well, almost all secondary objectives. We'll get to that in a minute. Because of that, we don't need to focus on a super offensive or defensive stratagem lineup. There are a few stratagems that will make things way faster that I strongly recommend you take. The first is the FRV, or the Fast Recon Vehicle. This is so we can traverse the map faster and get from point of interest to point of interest as efficiently as possible. This is why forest biomes, cities, and many other rocky and arid maps are not a great place to farm because there is just too much terrain getting in the way of the FRV. The second stratagem I would strongly recommend is the LAS 98 laser cannon. The reason for this stratagem is one of the main points of interest you will come across are crates, and these need to be opened. Typically with a grenade, however, you can use other weapons that have explosive damage, but those can hurt you and you can run out of ammo. The laser cannon opens them instantly, and it has infinite ammo. Well, as long as you don't overheat it, but that's not what we're going to be doing in this, so we should be fine. With these two stratagems, it will make farming so much faster and more efficient that the other two slots are just kind of whatever. You can do whatever you want with them. However, I would suggest a turret of some kind to draw enemy attention if you get overrun on accident, and an eagle that, to get yourself out of a pickle if you ever get in one. As for the armor set to run, it really doesn't matter, although a lighter set will make you faster and thus improve your rates a little. Your primary weapon and secondary weapon also don't matter, although I take the adjudicator just because I like it, and you need to be able to fight a little bit because you will get attacked, especially on level 3, but regardless, they don't matter that much. Grenades also don't matter too much unless you don't have the las cannon. So if you are going to take grenades, the best one to take is the impact grenade, as this is the fastest grenade to open crates. So that's not a terrible choice. The last thing you need is to choose your booster. My preferred booster is the stamina enhancement, which allows you to sprint a lot longer. Thus, if your car explodes, you can run and get away from enemies and all that good stuff. Other than that, there really isn't much of a difference that any of the other ones do, but that one is probably the main one that I would take. Now that you're all geared up to farm super credits, let's talk about the mission selection and the landing spot. Now, for mission selection, you want to make sure you're fighting the bots on no higher than level 3, as higher than level 3 will have bots spawning on the POIs you're trying to get to, thus making it way more difficult. And also bots because they're less likely to swarm like the bugs. Level 1 is not the best as the map is really small and there's only about 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 occasionally on a really good one minor POIs because it's just such a small map. 2s are really good mostly, especially if you're by yourself and you have no one else. Smaller map, now the one issue with it is it only has one secondary objective. I'll talk about why that's important with the level 3. Level 3s have 2 secondary objectives and much more spawns, but roughly the same enemy spawn as level 2. The reason the secondary objectives are kind of important is one of the ones that can spawn is called a LiDAR tower. Now, the LiDAR tower is about the only secondary objective you want to do if you can find it on a super credit farming run. Why is this? Well, if you can get a LiDAR tower, it'll show you every single minor POI on the map, and you won't miss any, so it's way better. Now, again, the actual mission itself doesn't matter as we're not planning on completing it. I'll talk about that at the end. But if you do want to complete it, any mission really works. Just not any of the eradicate missions, because those you can actually get super credits on them. Actually, you can on the one where it's destroy bases, but that is just a chaos-filled map, and I would not recommend that. Now, the landing spot is dependent on the map. If the map has a part that is difficult to reach, like a little crescent in a corner or something like that nature, like I'm showing on screen right now, then go land there, as you don't want to miss something way back in that corner. If there isn't, then just find a nice flat spot to land off on the edge of the map. Now that we're on the ground, we need to begin looking for a list of things to do. First off, the LiDAR tower, again, for all the reasons I said earlier, helps with the rates, and you can find everything. It's absolutely awesome. Now, if you don't find one, and if you do really, you call down your FRV and your laser cannon and you start driving. Now, if there isn't one, you just drive around and see if you can find any one of the 3 styles of POI that you need to be looking for super credit farming. Now, the 3 different POI types are the Blinky, or the drone, which has a single loot slot that can contain super credits. Now, loot slots contain anything from super credits to medals to requisition slips to rare samples on higher levels and support weapons. We only really want the super credits, and also medals aren't bad either. Now, you can find 10 super credits in each one, which isn't great, but sometimes you can find 100 if you're lucky, so that's not too bad. Now, the drone only has 1 slot, and they're probably the most common. They're pretty easy to find as there's a large blinking beacon in the air, so they're pretty good, and then you can just emote over and it opens. The second one is the crate, which, as I mentioned before, is why you brought the las cannon. Pretty easy to open if you have the las cannon or a grenade. Other than that, you can't really get it open unless you have a good weapon. It has 2 slots for loot spawn, so potentially 200 super credits. You never know. And then finally, there are the bunkers. Now, the bunker requires a second person to be with you. So if you're super credit farming by yourself and you see a bunker, well, I mean, there's literally nothing you can do. You might as well just leave it and go and see if you can find another one and just never come back to it, which sucks. But if you do have a friend, go open the bunker. It has 3 slots. You could get up to 300 super credits in 1 bunker. You just have to be so lucky. Now, while you're trying to get to all these different POIs, try and avoid enemy patrols and bases as best you can. When you find a POI, also make sure to note where it is so you don't accidentally go back there and waste more time. Or another way to do this is if you pick up all the samples there and explore the POI, and if there's no samples, you just simply explore it. The diamond icon on the map will change to a dull ping mark, meaning it's been explored and there's nothing else to find. This is one of the best ways to make sure you don't accidentally go to another POI once again. Now, once you made it through the entire map and gathered all the super credits you have, you can either finish out the mission and do all the objectives and extract, but that takes a lot more time. Or simply just leave the mission right where you are and return to your ship and to begin your next mission. And you can do way more missions if you're just skipping. Now, you won't get your XP or any samples or anything like that, but you will keep your super credits, requisition slips, and medals that you get from minor POIs even if you leave early, which is quite nice. Now, if you repeat all these steps that I've just told you, you'll have all the war bonds in no time. If you're enjoying this video and you want more Helldivers 2 content, leave a like and subscribe, as I am almost at 100 subscribers and I need your help to get there. Remember, Helldivers, for Super Earth and managed democracy, thank you for watching and goodbye.